As the first light of dawn touched the Afghan mountains, a team of elite U.S. Army Rangers quietly moved into a small town believed to be lightly defended. The air was cold. The streets were silent. No gunfire, no warnings, just another patrol. Or so they thought. But within seconds, everything changed. From rooftops, windows, and tight alleyways, gunfire exploded like a thunderstorm. Bullets came from all directions. The Rangers were trapped, cut off, outnumbered, and deep inside enemy territory. This was not a routine patrol. This was a carefully orchestrated ambush by Taliban forces, one that would test the limits of American firepower, coordination, and leadership. April 17, 2017. What began as a standard mission spiraled into chaos. Taliban fighters had taken control of multiple buildings days before. Their ambush was timed perfectly. As the Rangers entered the town, Taliban shooters emerged from above, below, and all sides, unleashing a deadly crossfire. The Americans had no escape routes. The unit was pinned down. Gunfire echoed off the walls. Dust and concrete filled the air. The Taliban weren't improvising. They were executing a pre-planned strike down to the last window. This wasn't just a firefight, it was psychological warfare. They wanted to send a message. American forces could be caught off guard, but this ambush didn't come from nowhere. Many analysts point to what they call a vacuum in leadership from Washington at the time. An unclear strategy, mixed international signals, and a lack of sustained deterrence. The Taliban sensed it, and they acted. As the situation grew dire, the call for air support was sent. Minutes later, the roar of U.S. fighter jets shattered the sky. 2 F-16 Fighting Falcons and an AC-130 gunship were redirected to the area. Their mission: break the ambush, fast and hard. Precision-guided bombs rained down on enemy strongholds. The AC-130 opened fire with its massive arsenal, striking rooftops and compounds where Taliban fighters were entrenched. Dust turned to smoke, flames rose. And for the first time since the firefight began, Taliban fighters began to pull back. But the relief was short-lived. The F-16s were running out of bombs. The AC-130 was low on ammunition. Within minutes, the jets had to return to base for refueling. And as the sky went quiet, the Taliban regrouped. Worse still, they began using civilian buildings as shields, knowing full well that U.S. pilots would hesitate before striking near innocent lives. Then came the next call. From a nearby base, 2 U.S. Air Force pilots, Captain Craig Andrell and Captain Adam Furman, received emergency orders. Their aircraft, F-15E Strike Eagles, built for speed, precision, and raw power. They were ordered to strike immediately. No visual confirmation, no delay. Their main weapon, the 2,000-pound JDAM, a satellite-guided bomb that doesn't need eyes on target, just coordinates. And those coordinates came from a JTAC, Joint Terminal Attack Controller, on the ground, guiding the mission in real time. Craig Andrell was the first to strike. He flew high, locked the target, never saw it with his own eyes, and dropped the bomb. Seconds later, the explosion leveled a Taliban stronghold. The entire structure collapsed inwards, instantly eliminating dozens of enemy fighters. It was a clean, coordinated hit. But it came late. So what went wrong? According to analysts, the mission lacked sustained pressure, a key element in modern warfare. The first wave of strikes had power, but not enough endurance. And once again, it was a symptom of something deeper, a lack of consistent planning from above. After the initial JDAM strike, Andrell was low on fuel and out of bombs. Normally, that would end the mission, but he wasn't done. Instead of waiting hours for another jet to prep, he made a bold call: switch planes. He requested a backup F-16, but not just any jet. It was the Tiger jet, a plane typically used for air shows. Bright tiger stripes, rarely flown in combat. But under the paint, it was still a fully combat-capable fighter. Androl took off again, this time in just 39 minutes. An unheard-of turnaround in a live war zone. And when he returned, he came back harder. A second JDAM crushed another Taliban hideout. When movement was spotted near the blast zone, he dropped a smaller, 500-pound JDAM to finish the job. Finally, after ground teams flagged a wooded area as a hideout, Androl swept over it, tearing through brush and cover with cannon fire. The Taliban thought the sky was theirs again, but instead they faced something far more terrifying. With Androl back in the sky, the rest of the strike group returned fully rearmed. The original F-16s and AC-130 joined him and Captain Furman in full formation. 5 warbirds hovered over the battlefield, each one armed to the teeth. Precision bombs rained down. The AC-130 opened up with its 105mm howitzer and 40mm cannons. Enemy hideouts were flattened. Escape routes were cut off. Within minutes, resistance crumbled. Taliban snipers, ammo caches, and tunnel systems all destroyed. This wasn't just air support anymore, it was complete air dominance. The April 17th battle was ultimately a victory for American forces. But behind the success lay a troubling truth. The mission came at a cost. Delays, confusion, unnecessary risks. Bravery and skill won the day. But strategy did not. The lesson here isn't just about bombs or jets. It's about leadership. When communication breaks down at the top, when strategy becomes reactive instead of proactive, troops on the ground pay the price. Captain Craig Androl and his crew turned the tide, but they shouldn't have had to do it alone. They did what they could, with what they had. Because in war, courage fills the gaps where planning fails. And that's the difference between firepower and foresight. This is Iron Eagle Reports, bringing you the truth behind the tactics, the heroes behind the headlines, and the leadership lessons no one wants to talk about. Subscribe now for more real-world military stories.